Okay, hooray, we are in business. So I am going to talk about GitHub, GitHub Desktop, and Git in general. So Git is an application, and it's a it keeps track of software that that did this, and they all worked together. They weren't the greatest collaboration tools. They were so the person started decided that he would just make a new one. So that's what Git is. It was built by Linus Torvalds, and it's pretty awesome. And it allows you to have local files and then also multiple versions of cloud. Like you can have them all over the place. So your repository locally can be on one server and another server and another server. It allows you to sort of use those files and you can deploy them. So like, for instance, I have locally a website for the class. I store it on github.com, and then I have a tool that actually pushes it to my other server and then makes that live automatically. So it can kind of incorporate itself into your build process, which is really awesome. So all I have to do is like check in my code, and this build process picks it up, pushes it to another server. That tool's really cool.
I was going to say, Alana, the one thing that Steven had us do, like every time we made one change, was like, okay, sign on to the FTP, take the new folder, duplicate it and replicate it into the public folder. And it sounds like GitHub is just like press button.
Yeah,
and go.
It just does it. It's pretty magical, and it's really good at, if you're working on teams. It's really excellent at deciding which code, like how to merge the code together, and that's like a really huge thing that Git has over older version control software, is that like the merge situation was just absolutely horrible, and it took a lot of, it was like tears and blood and pain to get things to merge. Git does it almost all the time perfectly, and when it doesn't, it's fairly easy to fix. Like it'll ask you like, hey, there's this conflict and I don't know what to do. Here it is, like pick one or the other, or do whatever you need to do and then just save it and then we're good. And I'll show that in a video today, actually. Merge. Okay, so let's, so if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you have GitHub Desktop installed on your machine already, that you've already created a github.com account, and that you linked your github.com account in your GitHub Desktop app. So the first thing I'm going to do is like how to start a new project from like scratch using GitHub Desktop to generate it. So if you already have a bunch of repositories, you're not going to have the pretty shiny buttons in the first page that says start a new project or, clone an existing project. So after that state, you want to go up to most of the stuff is either in file or repository. Those are kind of the two big drop downs. So we're going to say file, new repository. And then I'm just going to call this, I'll just call it GitHub Desktop demo, maybe 01, because there'll probably be a bunch. I'm going to fill this in so you can see where this goes on github.com. So demoing stuff about GitHub Desktop. And then I'm just going to leave it on my desktop. Most of my projects, I have a folder for, oh dang, this is slow. But yeah, I have a sites folder that's inside documents, or no, it's just in my users. That's where I keep most of my stuff. But for today, I'm just going to throw it on the desktop. I won't initialize because I'll show you how to add this later, this README. And I'll also talk about this in a little bit too. We can just add it on our own. So I'm going to say agree. And all this does is it makes a local folder. And I'm going to show you in Unix what's in that folder that's invisible. CD, hang on a second. Okay, so I'm trying to clear out my messy, what did I do? Oh, great. Okay. Everything, it's almost like my computer is brand new today. Okay, so here is my desktop. This is the folder I just did, GitHub desktop. If I look in here, there's this invisible folder called git.git, and then there's also this invisible file that we'll see inside of Sublime called git attributes. This is something that GitHub desktop makes, but this git.git directory is basically where everything is going to be stored, and we'll look at the contents once we do some commits, but basically this is where Git is like recording everything that it does, keeps track of all the different versions. So let's, I'm going to open this project. So what you want to do is wherever you, if you're following along, wherever you have your project, you can just drop that folder onto Sublime and it should open it as like a project. So I would go to desktop and then just drag that up wherever my Sublime is.
Do I have to a desktop publish repository for it to be seen locally in my file folder?
Nope. It's just at this point it is it knows that it's a Git repository. It knows that it's going to be used to store stuff, but right now it basically just like is a regular old folder that Git knows about. Yeah. So there's that attributes. There's like nothing in here other than text equals auto. So let's make just an index.html file. So I'm going to right click on the folder and say file. And then I'm going to save it as a HTML file so I can use that emit tool. Index.html, save. And then see down at the bottom, it says plain text right now. So it doesn't actually know it's HTML. And then if I hit that changes to HTML, that's how Emmet knows this is an HTML file. So now that it's HTML, I can do the Emmet tool, say exclamation point tab, and then I'll just do GitHub desktop demo, and then I'll just do one. Hello, GitHub desktop. Okay, so let's get, we'll just have to save things. So I'm going to save that. When I go back here, now it says, okay, I have one changed file. Here's all the stuff. You added all this stuff to it. And then, oh yeah, that's cool. It does actually do an initial commit, even if there's nothing in the directory. Let's actually look before we push stuff. So I believe, I wonder if it does the repository the first time as well. I'm curious. Repositories. Okay, cool. So it makes it locally, but it's not publishing it to github.com yet. Yeah, okay. So it actually automatically gave me this nice commit message, so I'm just going to keep it and then say commit master. So master is the only branch that we have right now that we're working on. And then now I'm going to say publish repository, and that'll push it up to GitHub for the first time. I want to keep the name the same so that I don't get confused between which repositories I'm working on. And I want to unclick this keep this code private because I don't want to pay $7. It's just HTML. It's not trade secrets. So publish repository. Okay, and then now.
Helena, I can ask you one question.
Yeah.
I think we've even talked about this with brackets versus Sublime. That step where you actually kind of uploaded the text, the folder into Sublime. For brackets, can we just like take it into the location, just drag it into the bracket window? I feel like we had an issue with that the first day when we tried it.
Yeah, there is some weird.
That's all you're doing, right? It's just uploading it into a text editor.
Yeah, okay. And GitHub desktop very nicely lets you do that with Atom and Sublime and Visual Studio Code, but for some reason Brackets has trouble.
I download Sublime just because.
Yeah, I do really love Sublime. It has a lot of features that are pretty great, and the live server stuff works better than the Brackets live server. I mean, Brackets is fine, but yeah, you might want to. That issue is really, I need to look into it because it happens a lot.
Yeah, that's annoying. I might have to fix that.
Yeah. When you do, there's a preference here where you can choose the text editor that you're using. So like, I have all of them. Let's see, where is it? Advanced, I think? Integrations. Yeah, so I have all of the text editors. I can choose a different one every day. Okay, so now if we go to github.com and we hit refresh on my repository page, then here's our demo. So let's just do something funky. Let's you can actually edit things right in github.com. So let's make a merge conflict. So here's the description, and then it's kind of it's interesting. They actually tell you to add a README, which is nice. We'll do this in a minute. Let's just go to index.html, and I'm going to make an edit that will create a merge conflict. So if you do different lines, GitHub is generally pretty good at figuring them out, but if you edit the same line, that's when it gets confused. So if I click on that little pencil icon to edit this page, I get like a straight up text editor, which is pretty cool. I'm going to change this to hello Git demo. Okay. And then I'm going to save this. Commit changes. So basically I'm doing a commit on github.com now. And so remember, the thing about Git is that basically you make changes and you save them. They are either saved locally or they're saved in your in a collaborator's computer, or they're saved on some cloud or some other cloud, but they're like little repositories that are all saved together, and then you kind of smash them back together. Does that make sense? And then kind of pull the changes in. So I'm going to say changed title. I'm going to commit those changes. And then here's the biggest mistake that you can make working on a team is that you'll forget, basically there's changes on the server that I need to pull down first before I start working. So that's kind of a habit you get into when you work on teams. And so I've forgotten to do that, and I'm going to make another change to my file locally, and I'm going to try to push it up, and then github.com is going to say, whoa, 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 like there's changes up there that like you don't have that you need to like pull down first. So I'm going to change that line again here so that there's going to be a conflict. So I'm going to say, hello, GitHub desktop, I don't know, you rule. Okay, and then save it. Tell me that I've changed this line. I'm going to say added you rule. I'm going to commit it locally, and that's going to be fine, no problem. And then I'm going to try to push it. And wait, it will be an error. Okay.
So basically this is telling you as the web designer, saying, hey, you made some changes, but not on the right one.
Yeah, or you made changes to an older version. So there's this idea of the head. The head is kind of like the latest and greatest. And I'm not working on the head anymore because my origin, the place that I've decided is like the master place, which is up on github.com, is ahead of the head is ahead of this my local version. And so it's saying, hey, I can't push this. There's commits on the remote that aren't present in your local branch. So fetch these commits. So if I say fetch, what that's going to try to do is it's going to try to pull the changes down and merge them together. And it's going to get an error, I hope. Please, error. Come on. Oh. Pull one commit. Well, I pulled it. Okay, so wait. Pull origin. Okay, so now I'm pulling. That was confusing. It told me to fetch, but then it didn't. Okay, so I'm pulling. Okay, there's a conflict. Perfect. So now it's saying you got to resolve these conflicts before you can go ahead. So open in Sublime, and this is what a conflict looks like. So here's the head, my local head, and then here is what's on the server. So I get to make a choice, and it's much easier to do this on a single line, but if you have a whole chunk of code that is merging, it gets pretty confusing. So I like to kind of show this with just one line. So basically what I have to do is get rid of the gobbledygook. I understand that this is my version and this is what's on the server. So I get to make the decision. And if I'm a responsible developer, I'll go ask the person that made this, if it isn't me. Like, hey, I saw this change. Should I keep it? I have this change. Like, how do we resolve our conflict? So I get rid of all the gobbledygook. And then I make a decision. Is it this line or this line? I'm just going to get rid of this one and keep this one. So you make it look like a normal file again. That's basically all you're doing. GitHub recognizes all those weird, like this line and this line, it recognizes. Like if you were to type a bunch of equal signs, Git would probably complain because it uses those to recognize conflicts. Okay, so, oops. I'm going to do this one. Okay, so all I do is save, and then I recommit. Okay, so no conflicts remaining. Now I have to recommit my merge, so there's a commit for that merge that happens. Merged. Whoops. Stuff. Maybe it did it all automatically. Yeah, I guess it did. It just automatically merges. Oh yeah, so here's my commit message that it automatically generated. Merge branch master. Okay, so now I can push it up to origin. And now they're both in sync. So if I go back to github.com and I hit refresh, then I see here's the one that I decided to save. And where's that merge message? Change title. Where's my merge message? It's not refresh. Okay. All right, I'm going to pause this demo and start kind of like part 2. Hang on a second.